Hello everybody, welcome back. So we've got that big dump now. So this is what's brought us back down to the previous range, right? So I suppose it's the range that we've been in for the most part of this month. But yeah, basically crashing all the way back down to that 21,500 area. So this used to be our resistance, then flipped briefly to a support as we stayed within the range and spent a tiny portion of this price action outside of it. And we've curled back over and come crashing back down. As for altcoins, they've all got completely wrecked as well. And this is why I've been saying for the last couple of weeks on the Patreon for the live streams, which are obviously a bit more in-depth analysis of the overall market rather than my daily videos. This is why I encourage you to come and join, really, because we're on there for 2 hours. We look at all kinds of things. We say it through. We look at everything through the lens of the overall market, really. And I've been calling it a train dodge. So I mean, the time to get into altcoins was a couple of months ago, which is when I said, this is why I'm buying altcoins today. 48% dominance. Altcoin rally, blah blah blah, and then altcoin setups became a bit more enticing, really, and that was, well, I mean, you can see that across all charts. That was the time to have bought into altcoins at any point. It was around the 12th to the 13th of June, and that's where all of these altcoins. I mean, it's just where's 12th to? Yeah, there's your Jasmy Wick. I mean, every altcoin basically found a bottom around those kind of zones. There's your bottom on Atom. You can go across every single altcoin out there, and that was the day. More or less was the absolute day of the absolute low across all boards, across absolute, and these are just the ones that I've got up over here, 13th. So so more or less caught the absolute bottom on everything, which is why I was making a big song and dance about why I bought altcoins, to the disgust of everybody. But yeah, I mean, what's done is done. I'll leave a little a clip for you here. Excuse me, from the last Patreon where I was talking about this train dodge, and then we'll recap about what's going to happen next. You put all these things together, and and obviously a golden cross on the Dixie as well, looking like a continuation of a rally. You put all these things together, and it goes back to, am I pushing too hard? It's about the train dodge that we always talk about. I'm sitting on the train tracks. I'm trying to be cool. I'm waiting for the train to come. I'm trying to impress everybody. I'm in a massive altcoin position, and dominance is dropping lower, and energy is bouncing from an area which I think is a relatively decent area for it to bounce from, and all the reasons that oil should be bouncing as well. So unfortunately got out of my trade, and this doesn't have to be the case, but the whole point of any of this, everything bounce, and continuation of rallies and continuation of uptrends of whatever. The whole point is, I suppose, to try and protect yourself and sell the rips, lock in some profit, and get prepared for when the next bull market is officially beginning, when we can actually hold positions for a little longer than we are doing at the moment. It just feels like a little dodgy at the moment. So I suppose, just in summary, before we start looking at all the coins, the main state of play that I was trying to put across 2 weeks ago, and especially the week before when I got into the first oil long, is that I think that there will be an everything drop based on oil bouncing. But on charts and looking at counter indicators or counter charts, like I have been doing, so energy to indexes and indices, I think this might be the moment where we see that rotation from oil, gas, energy in general. That starts to move up as stocks start to come down, and obviously crypto, generally speaking, is going to come down with stocks. But we'll have to monitor how oil moves from this particular area. But I personally don't want to trade anything really, probably not for the rest of the week, unless of course we break out from these, move into a higher range on Bitcoin, or we can be sure that Bitcoin's not going to break down again. As we can see, obviously on these charts, they're having small consolidations, so maybe we can start picking things up from 10% from where they are right now. It's no different to how I see DOT, really. Don't really see any difference in that to any real altcoin. I imagine they're all going to be looking the same. So there you have it. There's your train dodge explained. So, like I say, we're doing a Patreon tonight, actually, for those who fancy joining. £7.50 a month, 2 live streams a week. Lovely. All right, so Bitcoin hitting this range. There's There is a chance that we do break straight down from here, but I feel like it's unlikely because this is the move that we've been expecting. We were talking about, Bitcoin down 10% from its top, from where we were trading on the last live stream, more or less, which is obviously around here. So we're down to the tune of 15% wick to wick, body to body is about 10%. So it's, I suppose, a tiny little bit more than we were expecting, but it's still hitting the range lows. But because we're below all major moving averages now on the daily, unless we find some kind of, phoenix from the ashes bounce, some bullish engulfing candle that takes us back up to above, well, for me it would be like 23,500 really, reclaiming the moving averages, which are extremely sorry for themselves right now. Unless we can do that, I feel as though for the next few weeks or so the trend is going to continue down, and we'll move back down to these zones, which again, isn't the worst thing in the world. These are all on the cards. For the last few weeks we've been speaking about the possibility of coming back down to range lows. The overall market is trending as one, and that's not just Bitcoin and altcoins. We're talking about the very realistic possibility of that rotation that we've been speaking about from energy, or back into energy from traditional markets. Now this is just a silly Nasdaq here, almost a 24-hour Nasdaq. But if we look at the Nasdaq here on the long term, on the daily, we've got bearish divergence, bearish divergence, bearish divergence. Now this has been cancelled out. Obviously, we were favouring a move up to 14, and we could 14,000. That could still happen. The rotation from energy or back into energy isn't exactly playing out as fast as intended, but I think it's creeping. So we managed to take positions around here again with the bullish divergence, hitting that $85 a barrel. The reason I talk about this is because just as I was talking about the everything bounce, which was just before, or it was around here somewhere. It was around here somewhere. The everything bounce. Anyway, if you're part of this channel, you'd have heard me talk about the everything bounce. Yeah, there we go. The everything bounce 2 months ago, where we're talking about basically not shorting. I didn't take any short positions, but the top on oil. There we go, all the way down, and the bottom on stocks, there we go, all the way up. And a couple of weeks back I was talking about the everything drop, or the everything crash, or whatever I'm calling it, which is basically the reverse of that. Now you can see the descending trend line here. It's not neat, but it's there. It's a consolidation trend line, and even if we do move up to the 200 simple moving average on the daily here, it's still a lower high and consistent with a downtrend. We are curling over on all these moving averages on traditional markets, and it would suggest further downside is it's not impossible. In fact, I'd probably say it's most likely. Whether we move up to 14,000 or maybe even 15,000 on the Nasdaq, it's still lower high territory, and obviously come back down. Even if we just come back down to form a higher low, that's fine. But the chances are, if we do come back down and the Fed continue with their path, and then they've got quantitative tightening coming soon, so selling off all their assets bit by bit, was it 2 trillion of them? Yeah, that might have a bit of an effect on the markets as well. They've not really started to do that yet. So we've got the charts. The charts are more or less telling us the bigger picture. It's slow, and I think this is why some people find it frustrating. It's slow. We look at things on dailies and weeklies, so they can take a while to play out, but they do eventually seem to play out as intended. So for Bitcoin specifically, and I think its destination would be, to be honest with you, to break down below 21,000, and we'll be moving back down towards 20 and probably 19, where we probably would look at seeing a much bigger bounce, probably a bounce back up to the top side of the range, and see where we go from there. Now, we've been talking about how the bear market for crypto can end as early as September, or should I say the bottom get put in as early as September. Now we've already seen a decent reaction on the total market cap. This is something that's held quite well in comparison to Bitcoin. So we look at the market cap here and you go, okay, that looks a lot better than Bitcoin on its own. Finding ourselves nice support here on the weekly 200 simple moving average. Now we could easily come back down to that level again and start to accumulate once more around those levels. So that's just short of another 200 billion, yeah, about 170 billion or something. So it's quite a lot of money. It's quite a lot of money that'll be taken. That's money we're expecting to see leave the market before it comes back in again, potentially in the form of a Bitcoin bottom or a market bottom. So I expect everything to get a little bit more wrecked. And we're thinking about altcoins. We also think about, we don't really want to trade altcoins the closer we get to 40% dominance. This is why we call it the train dodge, really, if you're still trying to play altcoins. And again, you know, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to play altcoin, especially if they've got decent setups. But the grand picture is one of risk to reward. The higher the reward is going to be given to you at previous resistances, and that's why I was saying get into altcoins at 38.7% dominance, because we can see as we moved up to that level exactly, that's where we got the fine rejection over here. 48% dominance, and bang, there's your alt season. 150% gains. That's more or less what we've seen. So long story short, we're still looking for further downside over a few weeks at least, and Bitcoin, maybe nestling itself back down into this range once again. Maybe we get a capitulation event thereafter, which takes us down to those lows that everybody's talking about. But for the moment, we'll take it level by level, bit by bit. And if we're thinking about just today, I would imagine we kind of fanny around this kind of level. Maybe wicks down below, as we've already seen a wick down below this level, but wicks down below, sort of attempts to move back up, just kind of sideways and fannying around. I think the largest move has been done for today. And as we move into the weekend, we'll have to see how traditional markets do close, how they perform today. If we start to see a continuation for the upside on oil, which I think is probably the most likely, we'll see some downside felt probably soon enough on Nasdaq and S&P and all this sort of stuff. So we've got our big dump. Whether you decide you want to buy any of these altcoins at this level is up to you. I still think it's at high risk, as the dominance chart is still very low, to be honest with you. It's still very low. I'm sure there's going to be some bounces to be taking place, but for me, I'm taking the kids to the park. I'm going to allow the market to reset. We're talking about all the bot trades and things. I was telling everyone I'll only be doing more bot trades when the market moves into another range, and so hopefully we do move into another range. Maybe this is a lower one, it looks like it probably will be, and then there'll be opportunities for bot trades once again as we enter into a new range. That's all we want for bots. We want ranges. We don't want big moves up, we don't want big moves down. We want sideways and volatile ranges, and it looks like one of those ranges is going to appear on the charts relatively soon. Right, so I'm going to leave with you there. So I would stay clear for trading for a little while now. We'll allow for a new range to be put in. We can implement and deploy some bots, and then I don't think we're going to see any altcoin setups for a little while. I just don't think that it's worth looking at altcoins, particularly for entry points now. It just doesn't make any sense. We'll do that when dominance chart reaches a resistance level again. And I think the main state of play is going to be one of Bitcoin, really, and Bitcoin's going to choose the direction of the whole market, like it did overnight tonight. Right, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.